Hey guys, Greg Christensen here, Craneview Livestock. Of course, you know that by now, but hey, I just wanted to show you how we try to raise our guard dog pups. So you just saw one get butted there, but there's a small pen here, and in this pen, well, let me just tell you, it's about 1, 2, 3 cattle panels wide and 4 cattle panels long, maybe, or 5. I mean, it doesn't have to be that big, but it's just kind of a catch-all pen that we have. And right now we have some of these. These are a bunch that are too small for the sale in January. We're feeding them in here, and then they can go out this gate, in and out. We lock them up at night, and that way they stay in here and they finish up their feed. And then they can go in and out in the daytime. We're feeding them twice a day. But these pups are in here. They were born back out there in that loafing shed, but when it got that really cold weather, well, actually it was a week or so before that, we brought them up here and we put them in this barn, this area here. They weren't moving around very much at that time, and so this is the mother dog right here. And these pups were born January 10th, so I don't know, they're not quite 2 months old. There's just 4 of them here, and before anybody asks me, that they're already sold. We're keeping a couple, and some other people have already sent deposits on the other 2. But we keep them in here with these goats, and they're just kind of part of the herd, and they can just be with them. They can go out that gate if they want to. At this stage, they don't very often venture out that far away from their mother. And so we have them in here, and we have a little box, I don't have it out right now, but it's a little box that we put cold kids in or something we made. You probably had on a video there once, and I set that box up and we put them in there, and we started feeding them dry dog food inside that box, and we would mix up some milk replacer. I just had some calf milk replacer around, and so I'd pour that over their dry dog food, same dog food the rest of the dogs eat. But I put it in there, and I had kind of a top for it, and I put the top down so the mother dog wouldn't jump in there and eat all their food, because it's got that milk on it. And they got started on feed, real easy that way. And then we do that for a few days. It was really cold, so we heat that water up and mix it with the milk replacer and put it over that. But then we change them over to just sprinkling the dry milk on top of that, the dry powder. And then they just switch over, and then it's just dog food. So they'll get onto that dry dog food. They're eating quite a little bit right now, and even though they're not 8 weeks old, they would probably be fine without their mother. They still suck some. She's kind of tired of them, but they just grow up and they're accustomed to being around these goats or sheep or both out in that back barn where they were born. Goats and sheep just come in and out of there. They bed down there at night with them. They're just coming in and going, and those pups, even though they couldn't roam around much, they got the smell, they got the whole experience of just being with them, and that's how they were born out there, and they stayed out there. They were probably, I don't know, 5 weeks old, let's say, when we moved them up here. Maybe 4 weeks, but only because it was so cold. That's really the only reason we were moving them up here. And so that's the best way. I mean, this is just kind of the best scenario you could have. You don't have to have this many goats. If you had 2 or 3, and then if you brought a new pup home, or had pups, or a new dog of any kind, put them in your pen there with 2 or 3 or 5 or whatever you got, and put them in the pen and keep them with them for whatever it takes, maybe a few weeks, and then open the gate and let them all go out together. And then, especially if you're feeding those goats, they'll come back in at night and they'll want something to eat, and then the dogs will come back in and out, and you can even then turn that whole bunch of goats, if you got 3 or 5, you know, when you're ready, turn them in with your bigger herd, and your dog will just go out there with them, and then they'll be part of the bigger herd or whatever you have out there. So that's probably the best case scenario that you could. You know, people tell me, well, how do I train a dog? And they really don't take that much training. It's kind of like a hunting dog. They either hunt or they don't. Now, we don't teach ours to sit or stay or do anything like that. We like them to be kind of gentle, kind of easy to handle. We need to teach them to go in the dog food feeder and eat dog food. And quite honestly, I've got a friend that's kind of retired, and the 2 dogs, the 2 pups we're going to take, he's offered to take them. He's done it for us before, but we've done it ourselves too. And he'll take those pups and he'll kind of pet them every day a little bit, and we try to here also, and make them gentle, keep them from just up and running away from us. And then he's got the dog food feeder in a cage like is out here, and I've showed you before. And his regular guard dog goes in and out of it. But those pups, for a long time now, see, they can just go through the side panel, and you prop that door up to that feeder, and they'll go in and they'll eat and they'll come back out, and they'll train to that. Just keep the same kind of dog food. I don't feed any special puppy food or anything. Now, I don't know, he might. He just likes them, and maybe he might buy some special puppy food, but they're not getting anything special right now, and they probably do without it, although our dog food's pretty good dog food. And so he'll take them, and he'll teach them to go in and out of that dog food feeder. And when they get a little bit bigger, I mean, quite honestly, a pretty good sized dog can still get through that 6x6 square on that cattle panel. When they get too big for that, he might take one of those squares and cut one side of it and bend it up, let him crawl through there. He's got his set up with a board like that with a hole in it, and he might put the hole a little bit lower for them to get started in. That whole process, I mean, it might take a couple months, and maybe put some cement blocks up there where they can get in and out or something, but he'll teach them to go through that hole. And like I said, we've done it ourselves, and we've you know, they'll figure it out. And if you get a new dog and you're trying to teach him to eat out of that, you might have to put him in that dog food feeder cage, and then let him eat, and then he'll find his way out, and prop that door open on that dog food feeder. And you might have to do that a couple of times if you don't ever see him in there. But yeah, usually they'll get onto it after a couple of times being in there. They'll learn to jump out, and then they'll just learn to jump back in. So that's how we treat our dogs. You know, they stay out there with them. That brutally cold weather, they were fine. They went in and out. The other ones out in the other pastures, you know, they don't have shelter really, any barns, anything, cedar trees maybe, ravine to crawl down into or something, and they all made out fine. And most of our dogs are Akbash crossed with an Anatolian Shepherd, just kind of what I started with. I didn't like the longer haired dogs. Their hair gets kind of long and nasty, and they get hot spots. Now these dogs will too. This mother dog here, maybe, I don't know, we had the vet look at her, maybe she has some lice or something. We got some stuff and we're putting on it, and we're also putting on these pups just in case they got it. They're kind of scratching a little bit, but they haven't lost any hair. And so you just have to let them be dogs, you know. Let them, leave them out there. They're not going to want to come to your house when it's real cold outside. So yeah, y'all know that. So it's not a difficult thing. You don't really need to train to sit or stay. And if they're going to come to you, a lot of times they come anyway. We don't train them to come. It's just if personality of a dog, some of them just don't have that personality, and you can just tell it soon after they're born, and even when they're, you know, little pups. But most of them, you socialize them a little bit, and then you can handle them, and you can give them, you know, shots when you need to, and things like that. Now these pups, you know, make sure you're giving your parvo shot to your pups. They've had that. We'll probably give them another one here soon. They're too young to have rabies. And in some states you can't buy that rabies. You'd have to take them to a vet or something if you want them to have a rabies shot. So, but I just want to let you know, I've had some people ask me about, you know, how do you train your pups, and it's really not that much of a training process, except for just jumping in and out of dog food feeder and getting that part figured out. But they usually catch on pretty quick. So hey, y'all have a good day, and it's a lot better weather this week than last, isn't it? We'll see you.